And welcome to this meeting of the Syracuse Planning Commission. We will call this meeting to order now, and we will begin our public hearings momentarily. First, we have an item of business, namely the adoption of minutes from our previous meeting. And we are prepared to act upon those minutes now. If there is a motion for adoption or correction of those minutes that have been circulated in advance.
Move approval of the minutes of March 24th, 2025.
Second?
Discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Minutes of March 24th are approved. As we move into our public hearings for this evening, just a note by way of procedure for anyone. This sounds awfully loud. Excuse me. Last time we had to shout from up here, but that's not the case this evening. As we proceed through our public hearings this evening, each application will be announced by a member of the staff, and we ask that the applicant or the representative come forward to the podium in the center of the room, provide your name and address for the record, and then a brief summary of the application involved. Following questions from the commission members, if there are any such questions, we will open that up to the public and ask anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application to come forward, again to the podium, provide your name and address, comments, and similarly, we will invite those who wish to speak in opposition to the application to come forward to do that as well. If there are comments made in opposition, we will offer the applicant an opportunity to address those comments in opposition. And we just ask that all speakers be respectful of everyone's time and try to hold their comments to 2 to 3 minutes as you're speaking. With that, I think there's maybe one notation you could make about the agenda in case someone's here on one item that had been postponed.
One item on the agenda under new business has been postponed this evening. Anybody here for the Rescue Mission Exchange Building Project at 155 Gifford Street? It includes a re-subdivision R-25-15 and a major site plan review, MASPR-2506. That will be on a later agenda at a future meeting. So we do apologize. And with that, we're going to start this evening with an old business item. I'll introduce this. Syracuse University's Waverly and Comstock Residence Hall project. If the commission recalls, we did kind of a joint package seeker on the 324 meeting. University will introduce the re-subdivision applications and the project plan review applications for both Waverly and Comstock Residence Hall. Again, the seeker was performed, a negative declaration was issued. So we just have to deliberate and take action on the 4 separate projects, both encompassing a resub and a project plan review.
Good evening. I see the team is here again, so I don't know who's speaking first, but the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Kulik and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Jennifer Bybee, Assistant Director for Campus Planning for Syracuse University. The office address is 1320 Jamesville Ave in Syracuse. With me also tonight from our team are the following people: Joe Alfieri, who's our Director of the Campus Planning Office, and also Tom Kirk, Principal and Architect with Boland Zwinski Jackson Architects, the Philadelphia office, which has designed the 2 residence halls that are the subject of tonight's hearing, and also Kirk Narberg, CEO and Managing Partner at King & King Architects. We are here, as Mr. DeShaw said, regarding the zoning applications for the 2 residence halls for both the Waverly and the Comstock sites, re-subdivision application and a project plan review application. The Waverly site is north of Waverly Ave and west of Comstock Ave. Thank you. And the what we call the Comstock site is east of Comstock Avenue and north of Waverly Avenue. As you can see, they're directly across the Comstock Avenue from each other. The Waverly site is where the Marion and Kimmel residence halls had existed. They've since been demolished. There was also a Kimmel dining facility that was part of that, also since demolished. And the Comstock site is the site of the Comstock parking garage, which is planned to be demolished. As you will recall, as Mr. DeShaw indicated, our team was here on March 24th at your hearing, and your commission considered the potential environmental impacts and thereafter issued a seeker negative declaration associated with the projects. Since that March 24th public hearing date, our team has met with numerous city departmental staff members as part of the April 3rd pre-development meeting. And we have responded in writing to all of the comments received at that meeting. We've also responded in writing to other city departmental comments for those city staff members who perhaps weren't part of the pre-development meeting. So our written responses are part of the record for this evening, and we understand that city staff are satisfied with the responses that we have provided. And this evening, the university is seeking approval of both the re-subdivision and the project plan review applications for both sites. Just to pan back for a moment in terms of the importance to the university of these two new residence halls. They are, within context, they are part of the university's housing strategy. And the university is not increasing enrollment or changing its 2-year residence requirement at all or as part of these new residence halls. What they will do is enable several very important goals. First of which being to replace housing that was functionally obsolete with the modern prototype of housing. They will also provide a much, well, the Waverly building rather will provide a much needed replacement of the Kimmel Dining Hall on main campus. They will allow for the relocation of a significant number of the second-year students to be relocated from South Campus to main campus, which will accrue a number of important benefits. It will improve the students' experience, reduce duplicative services, and also add to the vitality of the main campus and the surrounding area. The new residence halls will also importantly allow for swing space so that down the line the university can renovate some of its existing older residence halls. And finally, the new buildings have been designed to comply with the relevant zoning standards. And with that, I will turn the presentation to Tom Kirk. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, I'm Tom Kirk from Bowen Swinsky Jackson. Maybe another important strategic initiative for this housing that we should be mentioned, particularly while we're looking at this slide, if we zoom back a little bit, it also really stitches together back what is now a student housing district, right? I mean, it's sort of self-evident from this slide, but you know, south of Waverly, we have Del Plain and Ernie Davis and Watson, and then to the north, you have Haven. And then, of course, right adjacent to our Comstock site is Booth Hall. So it's really a co-location of like-minded adjacencies and creating sort of a density of experiences, as Jen alluded to. So I think when we were last time, my colleague Daniel presented, we started with Waverly. I don't know that we really got into Comstock, but we thought maybe we'd just go through some of those slides again, just to remind ourselves what is really happening with this project. As Jen mentioned, this is the existing site of the Kimmel Marion buildings, which are now demolished. This is about a 2-acre site. And next slide, what we're proposing here is a new student housing complex that, it's multi-storied, and we saw that in sort of that aerial view, about 310,000 square feet. And, we're looking at a variety of stories, and we saw that in the other diagram as well. We're sort of trying to step these buildings down. But in the aggregate, it's about 12 stories, about 9 stories of housing, over some social spaces, over a dining facility. So this project, and we talked about that last time, also contains dining. And I should say, as we pivot to Comstock, both of these buildings have sort of, not just the student housing, but similar to the Oaston project that we reviewed with all of you a while back, there's all these other amenities, social spaces, lounges, in the case of Waverly, food service. But if we go now to Comstock, across the street. Oh, yeah, I guess we should mention here, I mean, I realize these are a little bit abstract, but the elevations that we're just starting to develop so that we can understand things to help you understand this building in terms of the bulk massing, the height, the kind of things you're interested in a zoning application. You know, we're starting to think about, again, the scale, the massing, the articulation, where we can step these buildings down, where we can introduce, you know, sort of that articulation and crenellation that helps, again, treat the massing of these multi-story buildings. On Comstock, across Comstock on the Comstock site, we have that existing garage that will be demolished currently. This is about an 1.5 acre site, so it's a smaller site than across the way. We're up against Booth Hall as our neighbor. And if we go to the next slide, this is about 225,000 square feet, again, of student housing with a mix of amenities mixed in. And I should have mentioned Waverly was about 720 beds. This is about 580. So that's how in the aggregate we get that 1,300 that you saw in the packets, split between these two buildings. And I think the other thing we should probably talk about maybe with both buildings, so maybe that next slide is a good place to go if it shows, so these are the elevations for Comstock. Again, you see some similar sort of buildings in front of buildings, buildings stepping down, different material expressions. You know, we're early days. We don't know exactly what these are going to be made of, but we're absolutely going to be thinking about materials that are sympathetic to all those buildings I just mentioned, you know, Del Plain, Ernie Davis, Watson. They're all primarily brick buildings. They're different shades of brick, so, you know, we don't quite know where this one's going, but we're in that ballpark of brick and some metal panel and glazing, and that's what you're starting to see just with some of the different tonality on these drawings. And again, this shows you all the different elevations and heights of the various step parts of the building. But when we look at both of them again in plan on the next slide, you know, right now, if we look at the Comstock site, there's an existing fire lane and loading that services Booth. You can see that on the right-hand side of the Comstock site, that piece of asphalt. We're proposing to reuse that and make that part of our loading and fire lane for the Comstock site. Down on Waverly, there's an existing, or there was an existing, access for the dining hall and the student housing off of Marshall as well. We're proposing to just move that down Marshall Street to, again, access our new building. And that all shows up on the next slide. You can see that access there from Marshall to both facilities. And you see some of those arrows on the plan. The primary entrances for the students for these buildings will be from Waverly. But these buildings are big, and just as we did on Ostrom, there will be some secondary entrances. So that's why you see some other arrows at the top of the page as well. But, you know, the primary entrance and the way these will be designed and thought of is sort of welcoming plazas, welcoming entrances from the Waverly side of the buildings. And lastly, I think we go back to that aerial view, if I'm not mistaken, and this gets back to, and you can see we've labeled the various stories, and I think we talked about this last time. Daniel ran through this, you know, this stepping that happens and how we're trying to not just step the buildings, but the reason we wanted to subdivide, particularly Waverly, is to stay uphill towards Booth with both of these projects and keep ourselves away from the Walnut Hill Historic District with these two new housing facilities and keep them in, like I said, that sort of housing linear district that was existing and now is being sort of revived and rejuvenated and recatalyzed. So happy to take any questions about either of the projects.
Two questions. Seems fairly straightforward from last presentation and this presentation. I'm a little curious about the 4A parcel, which is being subdivided from the Waverly dorm. And I understand historically that serviced the dorm that was there. It's being separated and it's going to continue as a parking lot. Will that be a parking lot open for the public, or is that special use, or are there any other future plans for that particular parcel?
Ask Jen to address that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is a Syracuse University-owned parking lot, and it will continue to be used by particular permit holders.
Okay, permit holders. Okay, great, thanks. Second question, and this may be for you, Jennifer, as well. I'm just a little bit curious about the swing space and how that works. I mean, I know how that works with the school district. When we hold buildings open and we use it as swing space, how does that work in a dorm?
So because of the vagaries of renovating a very large residence hall building, it can't be done in, I think they call it in the industry a summer slammer. Like you can't do that in the 10-week summer break. And so this will provide the wherewithal for the university down the line to be able to actually empty an entire dorm and have available space. However, the dominoes are going to shift around to house the students and do a full renovation, which is part of the overall housing strategy. There was a realization that this is becoming more important because some of the buildings are getting to be older. So if it's just an 11-week period and you just have to say, what do they call it, puff and powder, like paint and do carpeting, that's doable, but not in a situation where you need to do a more substantial renovation. So that's part of the benefit that having more beds will be able to provide, so that then we can continue to invest as well in our older stock.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Just a somewhat more general question. Last time we, of course, did the environmental review, and we were waiting for the departmental comments, which of course have since come in, and feedback on those. Looking through those, nothing there that seemed unexpected by way of departmental comments, and it seemed as though the university was agreeable to all those different sorts of things. Was there anything that was a surprise to you or that seemed problematic in terms of comments? Because many of those will be incorporated by reference probably into any resolution.
Yes, and none were surprising or out of the ordinary. And so we're fine with all of them. And it does tend to work this way, that once the zoning approvals are secured, there are a number of details that are worked out as we go forward, and especially as we seek the building permit. I think the one way in which we're actually quite far ahead is because we have provided in advance so much of the stormwater information. So while it takes longer to develop a full SWIP, we are, with the way things are done now, we're so much further ahead. And I think that will also be helpful for all parties involved, just as the pre-development meetings are, so that the university has an early read of what the departmental comments are, and as design changes are made to evolve into final details, those can be incorporated, and hopefully it also gives the city department reviewers a sense of understanding of what we're doing. So it's really a great way to have advanced communication that I think makes the whole process better for everyone.
That's good to hear. And everything's aiming toward a fall 2027 opening? Okay, great. So if there are no more questions from the commission members, I will ask if there's anyone in the room who wishes to speak in favor of these applications. Please come forward to do so, either singly, a one application, or the pair together. Just provide your name and address and then comments.
Rex Jardine, 112 Circle Road, 13210. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. As an architect and resident of zip code 13210, and more specifically University Hill since moving here in 1987, I would like to provide some comments of both of these university proposed residence halls. While Ernie Davis Hall's 250 beds in 2009 marked the first ripple of what would become a near tidal wave of purpose-built student residence, new construction by the university is not as common as many would think. It is always done well. They always hire qualified, sometimes world-class architectural firms. Construction materials are proven performers and top quality. All of the details are scrutinized. Their construction is institutional grade and typically meant to last for many decades. Residence life at SU fully understands what features absolutely need to be woven into a residence hall so students are safe, accepted, and quickly become part of the campus community that surrounds them. RAs will keep an eye on their responsibilities. Social and recreational spaces will be right-sized and right-located. Recruitment of quality students in these times, and more importantly, retention, depend on all of that. These two halls with 580 and 720 beds are the right scale for an urban campus and fit within what was outlined in the city-approved planned institutional district. The density and height is appropriate for the land areas and brings students closer to where they study, where they eat, and hopefully making it more of a walkable experience so their personal vehicles become less important. The tidal wave of new purpose-built student housing since 2009 has been impressive, if not staggering. Our savvy developers near and far clearly know how lucrative housing college students can be and how much more lucrative it can be when you sweeten it with 12-year tax breaks. Capitalism seems to work. In my estimation, if everything proposed here and along Genesee and Almond come to fruition, we will have seen over 10,000 new beds constructed primarily in zip code 13210, probably approaching $2 billion in investment. Fantastic. Who will live in the vacuum this may create in our traditional neighborhoods? I guess we'll have to see. It's a bit disheartening to think that the biggest single factor eroding the appeal of the city does not appear to be crime, does not appear to be traffic, does not appear to be air quality or the cost of living. For anyone considering a family, the biggest drawback is the real or perceived performance of its public schools. Just to compare the city's one-time share of investment in what I have termed a half renovation of the 107-year-old wood-framed pre-K to 8 school at the center of zip code 13210 in the shadows of 3 fine colleges and 3 fine hospitals was a mere $689,741. Thank you to the 53rd mayor. I'd like to ask her for my vote back. While it's enjoyable to attend, speak, and hear a planning commission consideration of what others have proposed, I would challenge the city and county who have planners on staff to show us the 10-acre minimum sites they have identified that will be for the next new public elementary school to be built in the city. Walkable school sites in the core of a walkable neighborhood, again, rich with invested owner occupants and their children. Imagine after seeing others commit $2 billion, how exciting it will be when that tax revenue delayed may bring us to a planning commission meeting where a state-of-the-art elementary school was proposed by this city. A school building so fabulous, Fayetteville would be jealous. To close, I fully support what Syracuse University has proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other individuals who wish to speak in favor of these applications before us? If so, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the applications, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments. We don't seem to have any additional speakers, so we'll close public comment on these applications and proceed to consider action on both of these projects. Taking them in the order in the agenda, with the Waverly Residence Hall first and the re-subdivision action required for that. Is there a motion on R2506?
Move approval of R-25-06. And beyond the general conditions, there's a special condition that we normally stipulate in re-subdivisions. That is to remind the applicant that they need to file the re-subdivision with the county clerk within 32 days. I'm sure as you knows that, but just to be consistent.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, discussion on the motion before us for the re-subdivision. If there's no discussion, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? R2506, the re-subdivision is approved, and we move to the project plan review for Z2887. Is there a motion for action on this?
Sure, I move approval of Z-2887 and beyond the general conditions, 1 special conditions. As Commissioner Kulik noted, the team did a very good job of responding to all the comments, although some of them are ongoing. So as a special condition, we would have continued to respond to the comments of the staff as the project moves forward.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion before us for the project plan review. If we have no discussion, then all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Project plan review for the Waverly Hall is approved. And we move now to the Comstock Residence Hall, and we'll first consider the re-subdivision necessary for this project. That's R2507. Is there a motion for action here?
I move approval of R-25-07 and beyond the general conditions, the same stipulation that we made previously regarding filing the re-subdivision with the county clerk within 62 days.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion? If there's no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? R2507 is approved, the re-subdivision, and we move to the project plan review for this same project. Is there a motion for action?
Sure. Move approval of Z-2888 and beyond the general conditions, one special condition. And as noted before, the team has done a great job of responding to the comments of the staff, but there are some ongoing, so as a stipulation, we have a special condition of continuing to respond to the ongoing comments.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion now for the project plan review for the second hall. We have no discussion, then we'll move to vote. Those in favor of the motion for Z2888, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Z2888 is approved. Good luck. You got a lot of work ahead of you.
That's right. Busy summer.
Couple of summers, busy couple of summers. And we move on to our next item, please.
Next up is the Syracuse Development Center Phase 1 Final Plating Plan. This is at 800 South Wilbur Ave and 802 South Wilbur Ave rear. Owner, City of Syracuse. Applicant is Russell C. Albanese. This is in the MX4 zone district. So just to remind everybody, the final plat plan is being presented today and reviewed as a re-subdivision application. One thing to note is that the street names and address sequencing are something that we're still working through, but we've confirmed that the address sequencing can come after this final plan is approved, should we choose to do so this evening. And with that, I'll turn it over.
Joe McNinch with SWBR. We're at 309 South Franklin Street here in Syracuse. I'm here with Shane O'Connor from TDK Engineering, the civil engineer on the project. We're here again to discuss this project. This is our second time here in front of you to discuss the plat plan. We got preliminary approval last time we met with you, and we're looking for final tonight. I think, unless you would like me to re-review the project for you, which I'm more than happy to. Love to.
At a high level, sure.
Hear, sure.
Recap a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. So what we're seeking to do here, as part of the Phase 1 project here, is we're looking to divide the property into multiple parcels to facilitate the Phase 1 development with Albany's organization, which is the two multifamily buildings sort of to the page south. And in conjunction with Home Headquarters, who Lowell is also here with us tonight, we're really relegating that front parcel along South Wilbur to be subdivided into individual home ownership program townhouses. The bulk of the use of the whole project will be affordable multifamily family project. The multifamily buildings down there, and then the housing up towards South Wilbur will be for sale, owner occupied, affordable home ownership opportunity program houses. Would love to answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there questions for the applicant?
I have a question about the street treatments and pedestrian zone treatments. You're aware that the city of Syracuse is going through a Vision Zero project. We just completed the initial phase of that project and have produced a draft of a complete streets manual that has street treatments for streets and pedestrian zones and crosswalks and, so forth. So I'm just wondering if you're aware of that, and that although it hasn't passed the legislation yet, it is going to be going through Common Council as a legislative package within the coming months that could impact your street design for the developmental center. So I'm just wondering if you're aware of that and if you're looking into how to incorporate those design features into the streetscapes, the pedestrian zones, and the intersection treatments.
Sure. Yeah, we are cursorily aware of those requirements. The actual street design is being done by the city of Syracuse with CNS engineers. We're working very closely with them to ensure that what we're doing here is in synergy with what the city's looking to do. We are along Jensen Avenue. There is going to be more of a complete street feel there. We've got sidewalks, we've got bike lanes, we've got planting lawns and trees, street lighting, all those kind of things. And we've been meeting with the city regularly for the better part of a year discussing those street designs.
Great. Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Additional questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I had another question in reference to this development as servicing the Geddes Street corridor. And so I'm just wondering a little bit about that particular description and what kind of service that means. Do we anticipate people from the Geddes Street corridor coming up for various reasons to the developmental center, the PDD, or is this a case where the housing that's being provided from the development center is supporting the Genesee business corridor, et cetera? I'm just kind of curious about that.
Sure. I would likely think that it's the latter there, where the folks from this development would be supporting the surrounding areas. We are creating a very walkable site, although if you've been up there, it's quite a hill. So that may be a deterrent in itself. There's going to be many park-like settings on this hill. Obviously, the view shed to the city is phenomenal if you haven't been up there. And we do plan, I think in conjunction with the city, there are some additional pedestrian sort of connections to the zoo and other areas around there. So yeah, we don't really propose a mixed use development here. So there's not much going on in terms of commercial. So I would anticipate most of the folks that live here coming down off the hill.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Further questions for the applicant? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. We don't seem to have any additional speakers, so we'll close public comment and then turn our attention to action on this application, R2505.
Staff would just like to give the commission a couple of notes on conditions of approval should you motion in that manner. Since this is being treated like a re-subdivision, the traditional or normal condition to file within 62 days with the county clerk. But secondly, I mentioned that we're still working through the final address sequencing, that obviously needs to be completed before filed. So just those two conditions, we complete the sequencing for the addressing and then file once that's done, and all that needs to be done within 62 days of the approval.
And sequencing is feasible to do that in the 62 days. Okay.
Correct.
Jake, I have a question about the county board comments, especially with respect to the comment that any existing public drinking water and wastewater infrastructure and associated elements must be shown on the plat prior to or as a condition of municipal approval. I'm just wondering if that should be included as a condition, because I'm not seeing that at present on any of the plats that I have, or at least I can't tell if it's in there.
Hi, Shane O'Connor from TDK Engineering. The main public utility is, I guess, the southwest, closer to the zoo. There's a large water main that traverses the property towards the county zoo. That's the only real public easement that's existent on the site, and it's identified on the plan accordingly.
What about Harbor Brook? That runs through the site? It's
So
channeled?
Harbor Brook is designated as both a federal riverine and the floodplain per the county comments are identified on the plat as well.
Okay. So
I
they
could-
they
I
have
could-
they have
we-
been on
we
the
could
plat?
zoom
'Cause
in on them if
I
you'd
can't
like.
tell by the images that we have
Yeah.
if it's on the plat. If it is, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if we'd like to zoom in, I could point them out. If you-
Sure.
Yeah. Federal wetland, riverine, as well. Those are just federal wetland, draft overlay.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, thanks for that explanation. So with that understanding, with the information that Jake provided us as well regarding conditions, is there a motion for action on R2505?
Move approval of R-25-05. Beyond the general conditions, we have two special conditions. One is a customary condition to file the re-subdivision with the county within 62 days, and that re-subdivision filing needs to include completion of the address sequencing for all of the streets, which is still in progress.
Thank you. Thank you. Discussion on this motion. If there's no discussion, then we can proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? So R2505 is approved. And we'll move on to our next application.
Next up is another old business item. It's the Syracuse Gateway Apartment Project, which includes a re-subdivision modification and a major site plan review modification. If you recall, these were originally approved back in May of 2024, which the Planning Commission evaluated the project and issued a negative declaration for the type 1 action. This negative declaration applies to these proposed modifications as they do not increase the intensity of the land use or result in any additional environmental impacts. So the applicant's going to present the two companion applications that I just mentioned, and we don't have to deliberate on seeker since that was done already. No new deliberation is needed for seeker. For clarification, it'll just be to deliberate on the modifications of these two applications. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brian Bouchard.
Thank you. Brian Bouchard with CHA Consulting. So we're the project engineer working on behalf of the developers, Chris Geiger and Chris Brookshire, who are also here with us tonight. So just a quick introduction to add to that. Obviously, you'll remember this is the Gateway Syracuse Apartment Project at the corner of Fayette and Alman, MX5 zoning district. And you recall last year during the summer we came and described to you some of the project plans, and actually even the mayor carrying some of that forward into his State of the City address regarding this corridor in general along Alman Street is really an opportunity to capitalize on sort of the Syracuse surge in housing initiatives as we look to see what a post-viaduct Syracuse would look like. And this was one of the first projects to be presented, and obviously, as stated, we did get both our re-subdivision approval and project plan approval. Since that time, obviously, going through the entitlement process, that's really the approvals is sort of the last stop there, but there's a lot of work for the development team to do after that. So we did proceed with, looking at general contractors and construction costs, investors and financing and things like that. And what that has brought us to is applying for this modification to the building, which really is two parts. One is really the efficiency of construction. The old project had an easterly wing that essentially wrapped around the Zion Church, and that was a separate parcel. So yeah, you can see sort of here, Zitung is showing you what the previous project was, and you can see that easterly wing has now been removed from the project. This obviously reduces the overall construction costs and provides some efficiency in terms of foundations and the narrowness of that building and proximity of residents to amenities and things of that nature, but obviously reducing the overall cost as well as the overall land cost because we did remove a certain tax parcel from the project there. So that's really one, is reducing the size of the building and the footprint. And then number two, we were previously showing a slab-on-grade building, so there was no basement. After our approvals, we did continue to navigate through the brownfield cleanup program. This is a former gas station site, as any prominent corner in the city of Syracuse was. And we have formally been accepted into that program, and actually we've taken a track 2, which is a full remediation cleanup. So before, where we were leaving that soil in place and sort of covering it with our building, the second change to this project, aside from removing that easterly wing, is to actually bring a level of parking down as a basement so that we can fully excavate the contaminated soils. And obviously there's financial incentives with the brownfield cleanup program to do that, which help the financial feasibility of the project as well. Everything else for the project that you see remaining is essentially the same, right? The building materials are the same. We have adjusted the plans to still accommodate the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board. They did make a referral. We were with them probably a week and a half ago. Everything that they asked for is we sort of went through this design charrette last year with them to kind of respect the size and scale of the building. Adjacent to the church was still included in this new plan. And actually, we believe that the impacts are even less, right? We have less impact in terms of wrapping the building. We've taken 2 levels of parking and really brought that down a level. So now we have a basement level of parking and a first floor parking. So some of the blank walls that were existing behind the church have now become more visible with glazing and a little bit more architectural fenestration and lowering that level. So we have reduced units, we have reduced building size, and obviously the companion application is that re-subdivision because we did have 6 parcels that were being combined before, and now we only have the 5 parcels. So aside from Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board and what I believe to be their positive referral when we left that meeting, we did get some comments from DPW and Transportation. They were very minimal, and we did respond to Zitung's office with those changes. Again, it didn't change the building. It was really asking for wider sidewalks along the street frontage, so we did widen that, probably in line with the Complete Streets program. We did adjust our driveway geometry entering the parking garage, and we added some exterior bike racks to the project there. So we believe that we've addressed all the comments to date and don't take any exception with the staff comments so far. Sort of pause there and give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have.
Thank you. So the final number of units settles on 250?
Yeah. Previously 291, and we've reduced that to 259 now.
259, okay,
Yep.
thank you. Questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I'm curious, could you talk a little bit about the circulation pattern has been changed? Originally, you had the egress on Fayette Street, and now it's on Washington Street.
Correct.
And I'm curious, actually, to me, I think that's a very welcome change because Fayette Street has really become a real mess with all of the construction on there, et cetera. So this is a welcome change. I'm just wondering, could you talk a little bit about the circulation pattern, what that involves?
Sure. We know that Almond Street will be the primary corridor. That's why the project's been named the Gateway Syracuse Project. Almond Street will really be the the gateway into Syracuse. So keeping our driveway as far away from Almond is really the attempt there. And you could see on the previous plans, we were utilizing that other entrance off of Fayette. Obviously, with deleting that, we still need to provide a driveway entrance, and East Washington is actually the lesser traveled street. It is also a little bit further away from the Almond intersection, so there's better sight lines and reaction time for people entering and exiting the garage. So that's why we chose Washington for that, just so that we could provide more retail, and sort of the main entrance to the apartments in the lobby for the retail is more prominently faced at Fayette Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments.
Rex Jardine, 112 Circle Road. No handouts. This is like a double header. 100% in favor of this. This is over 500 more beds in zip code 13210. When you meet with elected officials, make sure that deferred tax revenue builds a school or two. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other individuals who wish to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Are there any individuals wishing to speak in opposition to the application? If so, come to the podium to share your comments. Well, we have no additional speakers for this application. We will close public comment on this and proceed to consider action on, Thank you, R2428M1. And we have first the re-subdivision action to consider. Is there a motion? And no seekers required. This was addressed, seeker review was addressed previously. So we may now proceed to the re-subdivision application and the site plan review modification. Is there a proposal, a motion for the re-subdivision action?
Move approval of R-24-28M1. Beyond the general conditions, one special condition, our customary condition, to note that the re-subdivision must be filed within the county clerk's office within 62 days.
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion on this motion for the re-subdivision modification. If there's no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Re-subdivision R2428M1 is approved, and we can now consider the major site plan review modification at the same site. Is there a motion for action here?
Move approval of MASPR-24-17M1. And beyond the general conditions, we have 9 special conditions that are listed on pages 138 and 139 of the staff analysis packet. The first 6 of those 9 conditions are related to the affordable housing component, and then the other 3 conditions are generally construction-related, permitting-related conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion on this motion? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Major site plan review for MASPR 2417 M1 is approved. Thank you.
Okay, next up is a special use permit, SP-25-10, at 1641 West Genesee Street and Milton Ave. This is in the MX1 zone district.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm talking about 1641 West Genesee Street and the Milton Ave. For the ground storefront on the right-hand side, it used to be Gregorio Pizzeria.
Can you give your, sorry to interrupt, can you just give your name and address for the record? State your name and address.
Yes, my name is Mr. Wang, first name QI, and The address is 1641 West Genesee Street and Milton Ave. And I'm talking about the right-hand side of the weekend tenant space right now. It used to be Gregorio Pizzeria about 40 years ago. So, and it has been vacant for a while. So since we got the property, we wanted to reopen as a dining in less than 1,000 square feet restaurant. So we working as it's called a Sophie Hibachi restaurant. So it's most like Asian style food with high proteins, basically for more healthy, for the more healthy diet towards for the areas. Because the Typical Hill area, we have a lot of young community areas. So we also have some the tables and chairs, and then the inside of the restaurant. So our operation hours is from Monday to Thursday from 11 to 8, and Friday and Saturday we do from 11 to 9, and Sunday we close a little bit early. We 12 to 7. So
Quick comment, quick question on the hours since you're there.
Yeah.
The application seemed to indicate that the Sunday hours began at midnight and went to 8 p.m.
No, it's 12. I think
That might be a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably that
It's
means noon?
Yeah.
Noon until 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, we want to apply for the right now special permit, so we can start to get move forward for other process. We can hopefully we can get something done this summertime, toward the summertime, so we can have it open during the before winter time, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicant?
So I guess my basic question is that this was held or withdrawn from the last meeting pending a certificate of compliance. And in the application that we have before us today, I'm not seeing anything different from the last application. I don't see any evidence of a certificate of compliance, and we still have all the open inspection problems that existed before. So I'm just wondering what the status of this application. To me, it looks like the same application we saw last meeting that was pending a certificate of compliance.
We already have the inspection last Friday. We have most of the previous open violation closed. We just waiting for the certificate of compliance. Conditional is called conditional certificate of compliance because we still have the weekend store on left side as well. So we try to have the both business open and this summertime.
Okay.
Is the owner here?
Yeah.
The building owner? You're the applicant, aren't you?
I'm the owner. I'm the one of the owner too. Yeah.
Oh, you are, okay.
Yeah. I'm the owner. It's a LLC. We are the family business. Yes.
Okay. So I can explain a little bit of this. So they have been working with code enforcement on a conditional certificate of compliance. We're okay with moving this forward today as long as we have some pretty strict conditions of approval. There's been some problems with the building here in recent months, actually. And there hasn't been any renovation work in quite some time because we haven't had any permits other than to repair the parapet that collapsed into the front of the building and into the sidewalk along West Genesee Street a few months ago. But Gregorio's is pretty much gutted. I think it was last opened maybe in 07, 08, somewhere around there. It's been 15 to 20 years since they've been open. But, even if a space goes vacant, to issue a certificate of compliance, like the vacant space still has to meet minimum codes. And, it does need, it does need work, including all the suppression for, I'm assuming you're going to have frying and stuff in here. It could need a new hood. Like, I don't know what shape any of that's in, and there's also a separate residential home or structure behind this that needs a rental registry. So some of the conditions that we would like to, recommend that you place on this, so they do need the special use permit to get permits. So we understand that, but point is the rest of the property needs to pass inspection too. So there are some open violations that they continue to correct those and get all those corrected. And then pending approval of the special use permit, that they also need to apply for and obtain permits for all the work that's happening there. And I'll add another one. I don't know if it was you or your partner, but you were informed by the Director of Code Enforcement to remove the giant sign acting as a billboard on your building.
Yeah.
Like, that needs to come down immediately.
Yeah.
I just drove by on my way here, and it's still there, so.
I mean, we already take down, yeah.
Well, I was just there. It wasn't taken down. I just drove by it at 5:45 PM on my way here. It needs to come down, and my point, it might seem a little frustrated, but we've asked you to do this stuff, and yet you're here before the commission asking for, special permission to have a restaurant, but you're not correcting the things that we've asked you to correct. So I'm being a little harsh maybe, but, to the Commissioner Lentz's point, like, things don't seem to have changed a whole lot other than the fact that our Director of Code Enforcement is trying to work with you on a conditional CFC. So hopefully that explains it all. We want to progress this forward, but in return, we need the owner to be responsible and to complete the things that are needed.
Right. So as part of the conditions, in addition to what everyone else might consider, including what Jake has stated, I think that you need to understand that if you do not comply in the time frame that's set by the department, that all your permits will be revoked. You can't continue to operate. So that is really the basis of, I think, what we are all trying to understand, because we can't give you a conditional, allow it to go forward. You can, if someone doesn't do what they said they would do, and then we are stuck. So we have to give a condition, and you have to meet the time frame. Right, and if you don't meet the time frame, your permits get pulled, and you cannot exist as the hibachi restaurant, okay?
Right.
So at that time, the permits would be null and void, not revoked. Well, they'll be revoked, but technically, they're without compliance as stated in the conditions at the time of the deadline, the permits would be null and void. They would no longer exist, and you would have to close down.
The other important thing to understand regarding this process is with special use permits, the Planning Commission does not have the final decision. The Common Council has a final decision. And so if we pass something and move it to the Common Council that is not a strong application, there's a high likelihood that it could be rejected by the Common Council. So we're not in the business of approving permits or applications, as it were, that have we good reason to believe they may be rejected by the Common Council. We want to help you do what's necessary in order to function in the business. But it's very critical that these things be taken care of. And I guess I have one question in terms of process. Is there any precedent for conditionally approving the application but not sending it to the Common Council until conditions are met?
No, because you're not giving final approval. The Common Council gives final approval, so until you're making a recommendation, until they give final approval, the project's not actually approved.
Thank you. I just thought I'd take a shot at it.
But there is precedent for conditional approval with a clock on it. So that's essentially what we're saying, with a time frame.
That you would recommend to council.
Right.
Correct.
And is there, while we're talking about time frame, is there a recommended period of time, weeks, months, days, that would be appropriate under these circumstances?
Yeah, we understand that building permit applications or, commercial cooking equipment and suppression, all that, Ansel system, that takes some time. But, applying for and obtaining the rental registry on the residential structure behind the commercial building, removing the sign, things like that can be much, much shorter. So, maybe the sign, immediately or within a few days, a couple days. Have you applied for the rental registry on the?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. I
On
submitted
Friday?
everything. I submitted to
Okay.
Anthony already. Yeah, last Friday. And I'm sorry, I will just explain because my guys, my contractor, he got sick, and then I already informed him to remove all the signs. He got sick. He just texted my wife. He just come back to remove probably in 5 minutes to remove the papers because he got a sick diarrhea, so he can't come back during the weekend. So I'm so sorry for that. But I already asked him to remove during the weekend.
Okay.
Well, he got diarrhea, so he just came back to remove it. Yeah. So I don't have I don't think that's I'm sorry for that. Just,
So those things much quicker, applying for and obtaining permits, obviously they can't open without that. So they're going to have to apply for their building permits, whatever sort of fire alarm or, kitchen permits they need or anything else, HVAC, electrical, things of that nature before they open. So that can just be kind of a more generic statement. Obviously, the general conditions apply that they have to get all of this going within, there's the 18-month and the 12-month timeframe. So I think those can be applicable to obtaining the permits, but stressing, the point that they actually need to apply for those and obtain them to do this work.
So for purposes of a potential motion, do you want, as the director, to set the timeframes on the condition prior to it going to the council?
Yeah, and I'm wondering, you mentioned your hope was that you could open this summer. So would 60 days be a reasonable period for the conditions to be met?
Well, I mean, the rental registry, if that was applied for, I mean, typically a standard comply by date with code enforcement is 15 days. So anything related to an actual issued violation, I mean, we would like it done within that time frame. As far as everything else, yeah, I think, applying for building permits with this associated work, that's already covered in the general conditions.
Just a rule of thumb here to work by. Other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
appreciate
Are there individuals who wish to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come to the podium, provide your name, address, and comments. So we'll close public comment since we have no additional speakers and turn our attention to consideration of action on the special use permit SP 2510. Is there a motion for a recommendation to the council? Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, seeker.
First time tonight.
Thank you very much. Would you kindly help us with that?
I like interrupting you, but has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 1 that's contained in your packet and prepared by the applicant?
Yes.
Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 2 prepared by staff and recommended to you in your packet? Does anyone believe the proposed action will have a moderate to large impact under seeker?
No.
Okay, having determined there will be no moderate to large impacts under seeker, I recommend that the commission make a negative declaration and prepare the Part 3 EAF accordingly.
Is there such a motion for the seeker review?
I move to make a negative seeker declaration.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the seeker motion. There's no discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? So the seeker motion is approved for SP 2510. And we may now turn our attention to the special use permit directly. Is there a motion for action on this?
I move approval of SP-25-10, and beyond the general conditions for approval, we have a special condition that stipulates that the owner applicant shall address all open violations on the subject property before commencing the proposed business. It seems like that wording covers our time frame, unless you want a specific day in there.
Within 60 days?
Within 60 days?
Or is that?
Well, it's kind of two different things, because
Yeah.
we have open property maintenance violations, which need to be cured
15,
ASAP.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be complete with this within 12 months or seek an extension. So that general condition, that condition that you mentioned, plus the general condition, I think covers, you know, applying for and obtaining building permits. But there are open documented property maintenance violations on the commercial structure, and the rear house needs to pass and obtain its rental registry certificate.
We really have kind of a two-tiered timeframe for these conditions. The general,
There's existing violations, and then there's the need for permits.
I think we should probably specify that. So a shorter, tighter timeframe of 15 days for the signage, the rental registry.
Please be as specific as you can as to the dates and the exact conditions you want attached to those dates in your, the conditions that you're going to impose. And then once you set that all out, one of us maybe can scribe it for you, then you can just cross-reference that in your motion.
I would recommend that we say all open violations, all open property maintenance violations need to be cured, inspected, and passed by May 1st. And then, permits need to be obtained and work needs to be completed as laid out in the general conditions, which is 12 months.
12 months from the final determination by the council. Okay.
And is that condition that if any of the open property maintenance violations are not cured, inspected, and passed, a single one, missed one step, then the permit is null and void? I just wanted to be clear on the record exactly what the condition is so that there's notice for everybody.
And I say it like that because, a lot of times work can be completed, but we need to be brought in to verify. So, the work needs to be done. We need to schedule an inspection. Our inspector needs to come out, verify, and close these.
Yes.
So we have two special conditions. One is all open property maintenance violations need to be cured, inspected, and approved by May 1. And two, all permits need to be acquired within 12 months of approval of the special use permit.
That captures
Is that
it.
correct?
Is that right?
And so you just sort of amended your own motion, so.
Yes.
Perfect. That will
Well, I
simplify
know
things.
it's perfect, but we got there.
Well,
Eventually.
and is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Thank you. So we have the motion stated with those specific conditions, timeline for the two sets of conditions. Discussion on this motion? And the general
Plus
conditions, as
general
always, yes. If there is no further discussion on this, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? So this then will move as a recommendation to the council, and we will continue on our list to our next application.
Moving into new business, another special use permit, SP-25-09 at 427 Milton Ave in Cayuga. Owner, Mr. Talev. This is in the MX2 zone district.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Pulowski with N Architects. We're at 201 East Water Street. I am here tonight on behalf of Steve, but also Cafe Tete, who will ultimately be the occupant of this establishment should this permit be approved. This property located at 427 Milton Ave resides in the neighborhood center or the MX2 zoning district. Tonight we're seeking a special use permit as this is a restaurant over 1,000 square feet, which is an allowable use under a special use permit. The building is existing. We are in receipt of comments from city departments and working through them. We do recognize that they are there, one of which we have addressed, and Zitong is actually giving you new plans that were provided at the end of the day today by my office, which acknowledges the city had gone through last year and installed new city sidewalks and green space in the right-of-way. That was not reflected on the plans that were provided to you previously, but we wanted to make sure that that is reflective. The other items, we do recognize upgrades to the parking lot, upgrades to the property. So we are working with the city departments to provide such upgrades to match the current zoning to bring this property up to today's zoning standards. Anything else you want to add? You guys have any questions? We'd be happy to answer.
Okay, we'll find out.
Absolutely.
Are there any questions?
Hours of operation?
Yes, so once the cafe opens, they are planning to open from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. to serve breakfast, and then close for an hour and then reopen at noon and be open from noon to 9 for lunch and dinner services.
And that's every day?
7 days a week.
Thank you. I wasn't finding that in the application. So.
I think that was still up in the air. I just found out.
Additional questions for the applicant?
What is the tenant in the, whatever the bottom floor, the basement floor is?
So the lower level has 2 apartments, and they are occupied.
Additional questions?
All set, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there individuals who wish to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. We have no additional speakers, so we'll close public comment on this and turn our attention to our environmental review.
Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 1 prepared by the applicant and contained in your packet?
Yes.
Yes.
Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 2 prepared by staff and recommended to you and contained in your packet?
Yes. Yes.
Or your pocket?
Or your pocket.
That's where I keep mine.
Does anyone believe the proposed action will have a moderate to large impact under seeker?
No.
All right. Having determined there will be no moderate to large impacts, I recommend that the commission make a negative declaration and to prepare the Part 3 EAF accordingly.
Thank you. Is there such a motion for the seeker review?
Move to issue a negative seeker declaration?
Second.
Thank you both. Discussion on this motion? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? We may now turn our attention to the special use permit for SP 2509. Is there a motion for action on this?
Make a motion to recommend approval of SP-25-09 for consideration by the Common Council. And beyond the general conditions, we have, I believe we need 4 special conditions. There are 3 special conditions that are listed on pages 223 and 224 of the packet. One special condition is the owner applicant shall obtain an encroachment permit for existing ground sign situated in a city right-of-way. 2, no vehicle should park on illegal parking area on Cayuga Street. 3 is the owner applicant shall address all current concerns from the city departments, et cetera. And I think we need a 4th one, the hours of operation shall be as the common council establishes, which is customary in these cases.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, did you want to add something to the
I
motion?
just wanted to add hours of operation as the applicant indicate for the common council consideration,
Right. Sure.
which are, we have them.
Sure,
Tell
6
me
to
again.
11 for breakfast, a break, and then 12 to 9 for lunch and dinner.
Good memory.
No, it's not a memory, I write it down.
All right, so that will be incorporated into the motion. Further discussion on this motion? If there's no need for more discussion, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? That is approved for SP 2509, and it moves on to the council for final disposition. And we continue, thank you, and we'll move to our next application. Thank you.
Next up is a major site plan review, MASPR-25-05 at 722 Hazelwood Ave. This is in the R1 zone district.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Chris DiLiberto, 722 Hazelwood, Syracuse, New York, 13224. So the
Just
plan.
give us a quick synopsis of what's involved
Sure.
with your project.
So currently, this is the proposed. There should be a prior to, but what you'll see is on the left-hand side is adding 2 new walls that become closets and a hallway and a new window to put 2 bedrooms in an existing open floor plan room. My 2 daughters currently live there. They go to Lemoyne, and their 2 friends from Baldwinsville that they went to school with want to move in with them. So we're looking to put 2 new bedrooms in and have all 4 girls living there.
Questions for the applicant?
A question about the number of bedrooms, because at one point in the application, it refers to an existing bedroom in the basement, but you also talk about adding 2 bedrooms in the basement.
No,
So I'm just-
there's no existing
It's
bedroom.
nothing, okay.
No,
'Cause there is one
It's
reference
an
to
open floor plan, what you see on the left,
Right.
with the bathroom, laundry, everything else existing. With the room that's currently there, it's completely open, wide open. There's heat vents on either side and lighting. It's almost like someone built it to split it and never did. So adding the closet and the new windows.
So there's two bedrooms on the first floor, and then there'll be 2 bedrooms in the basement?
Correct.
Because that becomes important in terms of the conversion of the 2 bedrooms, means that 2 parking spaces have to be added for those bedrooms. Now, I presume, you indicated there are 3 parking spaces right now that are certified?
Correct.
I presume, does that mean in the driveway?
Yes.
Okay. And you assume that there's room for a 4th car in the driveway? Is that correct?
The intent is to widen it by another foot. I've got to do 811, call before you dig, first. But once I widen it by a foot, it'll fit the 4th
Right.
and/or
Okay.
5th if needed.
Yeah, great, thank you. Good.
I just wanted to ask staff on the, well, the question about the calculation for the bedrooms in the basement. I know under the old planning process, there used to be like a formula for that. I don't know if there still is. Under rezone, is there a minimum square foot requirement? Okay. He's addressing he said he can address the parking space. So it would be permissible to divide the way he's talking about it. I just want to clarify that before we make a decision.
Well, maybe. So, couple of things. My understanding was when the application came in that you informed staff that you were owner occupied, meaning not only do you own it, but you live there, but you've already stated that you don't. So in our code, if you're going to increase density and intensity use of a residential structure, you have to offset that with having enough common area space and add additional off-street parking. looking at your property, I don't know how you would add an additional off-street parking space when you have a attached garage. Your legal parking space is in the garage. So I don't,
So there's one, the garage can fit one, and then the driveway currently can fit three.
but the rule is that you need to be able to add an additional parking space that doesn't exist. You can't, I don't see a way that you could physically do that with your property.
Again, I'll defer to the fact that I have to call 811 first, but if you see the photos, I don't know if you have them in front of you, there's a retaining wall where the stairs go up. There's no reason I can't excavate that straight back the way the current slope is for the driveway and actually add another 3 cars if I need to.
Yeah,
if
but
that's the request.
that would be parking in the front setback. So your legal parking space from the right-of-way, the driveway, the way to your parking space is in the garage, and you don't have a way to add additional parking area in front of your house legally because it's all in the front setback. You don't have a way, and it looks like your side yard probably split with your neighbor, so you probably only have a few feet. So I don't even think you have room to add a driveway down the side of the house on either side.
I guess I'm not understanding. So where you see the white stairs coming down to the gray?
Yeah, you can't make that a parking spot. That's parking in the front yard setback. That's not legal.
So where the sign is there, it's 7 feet between me and the neighbor of the house. The intent was to take several feet where the garbage cans are, straight down the hill, and then widen the apron there for 2 width.
So the spot would be on the side of the house entirely?
It would, well, you can see the red car already parked there. Starting where the garbage can is, it goes property line 7 feet over. I would take 3 feet right about there and straight down the hill and make it a width of 2.
I mean, we could look at it, but you would have to fit an entire vehicle. The back of the vehicle would have to be beyond the facade of the house. So where your electric meter is, the trunk of a car would have to be there and fit on the side of your house on your property. I mean, it looks, you have 7.1, is that what it says? Yeah.
But I can't go to the left at all?
To the left, well, on your left side of your house, you only have 5 feet. I don't think you can fit a driveway there.
So I can't expand in front of the front door and take the driveway and make it wider?
No, you have a 1-car with attached garage. So I think what I'm going to recommend is that we hold this and we review this with you and our staff, and we can reschedule you on the next agenda meeting. But the purpose of doing this, just for so everybody's understanding that, so is the reason this was created was one, so we didn't have to enforce the definition of family any longer. That's why we came up with what we call ResCom, which is what this is. And this is actually a conversion because you're looking to add bedrooms and increase density and intensity of the use. And to preserve our residential, neighborhoods, the rule is that you have to be able to, if you're going to add that much extra bedrooms that increases that density and intensity, you have to be able to offset that. The house has to be able to have enough common area space in addition to what's required in the property maintenance and fire code in New York State. But then also you need to have additional off-street parking that already isn't there. And we'll have to discuss with you if there's a way to fit that somewhere, but no, quickly, you can't have it in the front anywhere else. So we can talk with you offline, but
Okay.
It sounds like more discussion is needed with the applicant and the office, and for tonight's purposes, I think it makes sense to hold this, and we get some clarification all the way around on how best to proceed.
And in terms of clarification, because we don't have anything in this application about the common space, and
I
it
wasn't-
may be adequate, but we have no idea what that is. And I guess the other general question I have, and this is just for information, I'm just curious about the egress situation in the 2 bedrooms in the basement, because there really is no egress other than you mentioned through window that you're going to add for egress in one of the bedrooms. The other bedroom egress would be through the garage, I guess?
No, there's 4 existing windows in the other portion of it.
Right. So is that adequate? I guess this would be a question for the zoning administrator. Is that adequate as a form of egress from a basement for 2 bedrooms, windows?
They'd have to be appropriately sized and to be an egress window. So one of the conditions, if we are to move forward on projects like this, is that they get proper, building permits that address egress and things of that nature.
Right, and that's what, I applied for a permit first, not knowing that zoning had to.
Sure.
And I did go through comfort to make sure that the windows are egress and the new window would be egress.
Okay. Great.
So is there something that I can reference to understand the parking situation? Because that's completely new to me.
Yeah, we'll get with you offline, but essentially, all parking either has to be in a garage or beyond the side setback or in the rear. So you have to have a parking spot entirely past the front of your house on the side or in the rear.
Okay. And, well, again, you said you'd get to me offline, so I'll
Yeah,
leave it at that.
we'll connect with you.
Okay.
And once those discussions have taken place and things are ready to go, this will get added to a future agenda, whether it's the next meeting or whichever one thereafter makes the most sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. So MASPR 2505 we will hold, and we move on to our next application.
Next up is a zoning map amendment, Z-2883, 209 Woodland Ave, owner is Home Headquarters, Inc., applicant City of Syracuse, actually zoning administrator or zoning office. So I believe we had a couple other ones like this.
We have somebody asking a question. I don't know if she was here for something that.
Sure.
Can you come to the mic and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Phyllis, and I live at 720 Hazelwood Avenue, right next door, yeah. So my only question, now that he spoke, and I thought that all 3 of the houses were 3 bedrooms, because I was the original, when the houses was built, I was one of the original people that got to pick, and they were 3 bedrooms, so now they're 2, and I'm just trying to figure out why you need 5 bedrooms. But he just told me, and I was told that I couldn't widen my garage, my driveway either. So I don't know. And I just came to oppose it. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this will appear in the future meeting as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks. Next application.
Yeah, sorry, back to the rezone amendment. This is another one where there was a re-subdivision application a few days before the rezone map was adopted. So we're basically taking it from pending to appropriately placing it in a zone district. I forget the last address that we did on this, I think last meeting. We had one similar to this. So we're just trying to do some map maintenance on some parcels that there were re-subdivisions prior to adopting the official rezone map in July of '23 and finally getting them appropriately zoned and reflected.
And this is just one of several we'll be considering, so over time.
Including the next one.
Yeah. Hopefully not too many more, but there's a few.
Thank you. So there's no applicant per se on this, other than what you've already explained in terms of context. Nevertheless, we will ask if there's public comment on this. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment at the 209 Woodland Ave site? If so, please come forward, provide your name, address, comments. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment, please come forward. So we have no speakers for this item. We will close public comment and proceed to our seeker review.
Faith and staff should be covering. Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 1 prepared by the applicant and contained in your packet? The applicant being the city, I guess?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 2 prepared by city, staff, and contained in your packet?
Yes.
Does anyone believe the proposed action will have a moderate to large impact under seeker?
No.
Having determined there will be no moderate to large impacts, I recommend that the commission make a negative declaration and prepare the Part 3 EAF accordingly.
Thank you. Is there such a motion for the environmental review?
Moved.
Second.
Discussion on this motion? If there's no discussion, all in favor of the seeker motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? That is approved, and we may now consider the amendment per se. Is there a motion for action on this?
Make a motion to approve Z-2883 as approved for recommendation to the Common Council for approval.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That motion is approved. It moves to the Common Council for final disposition. We move to our next zoning map amendment.
Next up, it's the same thing, but at 1427-29 Midland Ave, Z-2889. Owner Creekside Landing, applicant City of Syracuse zoning administrator, seeking to designate this from pending to R2 zone district.
Thank you. Questions on this? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this motion, or this application, rather? Please come forward, provide your name and address and comments. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. We have no speakers, so we'll close public comment and turn our attention to our seeker review.
Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 1
Yes,
contained in your packet?
Yep.
it's in my pocket.
Absolutely.
It's in our pocket.
Has everyone had a chance to review the EAF Part 2 contained in your pocket
Yes,
and your packet?
yes.
Does anyone believe the proposed action will have a moderate to large impact under seeker?
No.
Having determined this will not be a moderate, I'm sorry, it's a script and I still can't do it. Having determined there will be no moderate to large impacts, I recommend that the commission make a negative declaration under seeker and prepare the EAF Part 3 accordingly.
Thank you. Is there a motion to that effect for the environmental review?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion? If there's no discussion, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Seeker motion is approved, and we can now consider a recommendation on the zoning map amendment to go to the Common Council. Is there a motion on this?
Recommend Z-2889 be approved as presented with recommendation to the Common Council for affirmative action.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? If there's no need for discussion, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? It is approved, and it will now move to the council for a final decision. Onward we go with our agenda.
Almost there. I'm working on getting a teleprompter in the FY26 budget,
Oh,
but
wow.
we'll see. So other business, we have a time extension request. It's a second time extension, so it has to come before this body for Northside Genesee Project PR-23-05 at 1301 East Genesee Street. This is an MX2 zone district. Brian, is there anything other than the extension?
No. If the board would like to hear, I can explain to you that obviously the intent of having a sunset period on any approval is really probably just to prevent stagnation and nothing from happening, but there is truly work happening here. We have completed building demolition of several structures out there that took a long time. We have secured our site work permit, so site prep can happen. We have completed our building permit review, so that's actually ready to be issued. All we have to do is pay the building permit fee. And the development team is prepared to close on their construction loan in May. The only issue that's standing before us is that the approval quite literally says it's null and void as of April 24th. So all the attorneys and legal team looking at the closing would like us to have this extension granted so that we can start construction in May.
May next month.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that all makes sense. Is 1 year, you're requesting the 1 year extension, is a longer extension necessary or required? Will that mean a second step subsequently before this body? And if that's the case, does legal counsel recommend or advise against a longer, a more generous time extension at this stage, or or is there practical reason for 1 year at this time?
Yeah, I was just asking that. So obviously, trying to play within the city charter here, not many buildings today can get built in 12 months. So this is a 24-month construction, so it should be completed in the summer of 27. If that's something that this board has purview over to grant an extension until, the fall opening of 27, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, yes, we will follow the guidance of the zoning administrator and come back for another extension if we need to, which is the case with a lot of projects, obviously, so.
We're looking it up.
I'm sure this has been frustrating and painful for you guys. Me too. 2 or 3 times a day, I drive past that lot and experience the pain of it sitting there waiting for financing. Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, procedurally here, this is indifferent, I guess. I think, as I said, the point is that there's not an application that's just, approved for 10 years and the property is just stagnated and vacant. So it's easy to come before you and ask for an extension if there's progress, and even if it's next year, you'll start to see the building standing, and obviously we're not going to walk away from that, so.
At least you didn't cut down all the trees while it was sitting there, right? So that's some advantage.
Yeah.
Grant the 12-month review, upon review if they need to come back.
Yeah,
that-
they could,
I
because
didn't
we
mean
have
to
to find the provision.
Why don't we
Throw a wrench into something, okay,
So the zoning administrator can grant extensions up to a year, so we did that. 171.
We only do that once.
Further extensions shall be subject to the approval of the decision-making body. So it doesn't say it's limited to just the second.
I would say that because the zoning administrator can grant for up to a year at a time, further extension is also for the same time
Same
period, which
time
is 1
increment.
year.
Okay,
Can
okay.
he do that a second time? Because he's already done that once.
That's what's silent, so presumably yes. And they would make their case to you. So
Right.
it's left open so that, you know, you can figure it out at the time.
I thought I'd ask.
So if they don't like Jake's answer, they can come to us.
Yeah, Jake's
We
done,
stick
he
with
can't do
12
it
months.
anymore.
No, he did that already, right? Yeah. Okay, additional questions for the applicant? Then we'll ask if there are any individuals who wish to speak in favor of this application. Please come forward, providing your name, address, and comments. Anyone wishing to speak against this application, please come forward. We have no speakers for this item. We'll close public comment. Turn our attention to seeker review.
No, we don't have seeker.
Not necessary?
No,
Okay.
No
I
seeker.
kind of concluded what the outcome might be, but didn't want to overlook that. So in that case, is there a motion for action on this requested time extension of 1 year?
Make a motion for approval of a 12-month extension for PR-23-05.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion? If there's no discussion, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The time extension is approved. Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
All right. Last but not least is a 3-mile limit in the town of DeWitt, 3S.
We should have a big block party there when you actually are able to break ground. Sorry.
No, you're good. 3S-25-04, 3-mile limit in the town of DeWitt at 4075-77 Newcourt Ave. We do have the city engineer and her department approval.
Thank you. Good to hear that. Is there a motion for action on the DeWitt 3-mile limit case?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The 3-mile limit case 3S-2504 is approved. Is there anything else that needs to come to us tonight in that case? Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We can't go until someone seconds.
Second.
Second? All in favor? No, discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? We are adjourned until May,
A Monday. that's all I
Monday,
know.
and it's like the 12th, probably the 12th of
May 5th.
12th of May?